Hello there. Happy Samhain. Happy Halloween. This year, it's really cool because for me, true Samhain, Halloween, should be on the new moon in Scorpio because it's when the veils are the thinnest. And Scorpio moon and Scorpio sun together, like a new moon now, is when it was most thin, these veils. And so we're going to have that November 1st. So it's, technically on Halloween night, that it's the proper aspect planetarily. Maybe that's why there's been like just extra Halloween this year. Have you noticed? I can't believe the decorations this year. Like more and more people with more and more stuff, more spectacular stuff. It's really impressive and it's fun. And of course, here where I am in Montreal, it's getting quite cold. It's never, if they just pushed Samhain back a week in Montreal, the weather'd be perfect for it. But no, it's getting cold. So, but still, it's very colorful. Leaves are blowing everywhere. Flowers are still sort of there, but some of them are dying, right? It's like, it's so witchy. It's perfect. Perfect. So if you align with the pagan holiday of Samhain instead of, thinking of it as candy and trick-or-treats, if you understand this is an important time of year. This is when the veils are thin, but we can feel and we can honor the dead and spirit much more closely. For me, the veils opened probably last week. And a lot of people have been telling me similar. They're getting a lot of dreams, and even some people are getting like vision, hallucination kind of level stuff. But active dreams, incredible. So I've prepared something a little bit fun to introduce us into the next chart of this new moon. So I will just share that with you. First, I'm going to burn my sage, of course. These energies are really intense, really intense. We're going through a lot right now. So let us cleanse and protect with the sage. All right. So as I mentioned, the thinning of the veils between worlds has begun. For me, it's been active dream life. There's been different people showing up in my dreams almost every single night. I'd say for a week or 8 days now, different people every night. Nothing really intense, no nightmare, no like prediction. They literally just sort of walk through and there's like a little scenario going on. And it's very vivid, very slice of life. And usually slice of life type dreams are they're more reliable to be either, predictive or showing you the truth than something where you're waking up scared, or it's like convoluted between people, places, shape shifting. And, like those ones are really interesting and we try to unpack them, but the really insightful like visitation from spirits or from other people that are living, because their spirits can still visit us, or like predictive stuff, it's really just like a little quick mundane movie. So one person came into my dreams and was just having a big picnic at a yard behind his place, a yard I don't even think he has. And it was like an old school picnic, and everybody was going to sit out on the grass and have food. And it was just really, really calm and enjoyable. And lots of people were coming, and that was just very much like I said, the circumstances don't fit his life 100%, but it's completely his personality. If he could, little things like that. But different people every day. Some of them have been really fascinating. So because of that, you know, sleep isn't as deep. So you've probably noticed that. And that can be the thinning of veils. It could also be what we're going to talk about next, which is a lot of solar flare activity. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in more detail, but we had a spike in solar flares on the 26th, 27th over the weekend, the past weekend. And yeah, it was an intense night. And for me, in a great way. I had my book signing. My book signing at Chapters Indigo that day, and as well as another party. But so for me, it was great. But for some people, people are just exhausted right now. Solar flares can really be intense, and we're going to be going into even more of that. And also, we might be feeling, you know, this insight and these dreams, also because Pluto is ending its chapter in Capricorn. It's really a huge changing of the guard of, you know, the generational energy is about to shift into Aquarius for 20 years. That's really big too. So you might have some of these like visitations and tests and showing, you know, revealing what you want, who people are, making just lots of decisions. Not only about people, could be your career directions, places, things you want to do, where you want to live, what you're unwilling and unwilling to put up with anymore. Like, could be lots of stuff. Could be around the people close to you as well, you know. Anybody really close to you could be going through a lot of closure or like sort of a trial or testing type of time where, you know, it's not easy, but we all have to sort of go, okay, look at that final writing on the wall. Like, what have we been doing enough to really turn the page? So Pluto is also a factor, and as you'll see in the chart, Mars is opposing Pluto right now. So this is, and it's going to start just after, like, exactly, it's going to start right after this new moon and continue for 6 months, which is not normal. So we are coming into a very heightened time, and emotionally, psychologically, physically, we're all going to be going through a lot of things. But for now, let's enjoy the season. Let's enjoy feeling closer to spirit, or, you know, it's a great time to increase your meditation, your prayer, to create an altar if you are wanting to hear a message from someone, if you're missing anyone in the afterlife. I describe all how to do that, but it's quite simple. But I describe it in my other book, Vibes from the Other Side. People have always told me they had a sign from somebody when they created an altar to the person. And this would be a great time of year to do it. So yeah. So the next thing I wanted to mention here, as I said, is solar flare activity. So it's called solar maximum. I only just learned that term recently. But, you know, a lot of people have been feeling 2025, 2026 to be gigantic years of change. We could, again, Pluto will be making its first march through Aquarius, and we're going to get a taste of what that's going to do to the world. So the next couple of years could really be, I mean, I don't like to think of anything as all good or all bad. It just, nothing is all good or all bad. So the good side could be really exciting innovations, very different energy as far like socially, or even just the way people choose to live and set up their communities, or like we might see things that are more communal. We might see all kinds of how do you describe that? Like, well, I think we're going to see a lot more things created from and presented and pushing forth with AI. And so it's only normal we're going to have to adapt to a lot of new things in our work or social life. And I think some will be probably really cool and exciting, and others might be really unsettling. So that's partly, you know, this buildup of 2025, 26, but also the solar maximum is, we're coming into a phase of time, I believe, yeah, 2025 up until, I think it might have even, if I read properly, be 2027 or 28. But we're coming into a time when the sun is going to have more and more frequent and intense solar flares. So, you know, depends on your beliefs, but a lot of people for many years have been saying, you know, what happens if the grid goes down? And everybody has different theories on, you know, you can get conspiratorial or not, or you can just observe that these things are part of nature and they go in cycles, and we're in a cycle where solar flares can definitely knock out satellites and knock out power and knock out all of these technological things that we're counting on. But even, you know, like plumbing and generators and basics. And I don't want to get too dark or scary, but I do think, you know, this is a coming reality that we have to prepare for, not to, like I said, it's very individual. I'm not saying to everyone, go build a bunker or something, but, you know, we might want to certainly think about, well, what would we do if the power were out for a week or a month? You know, some of these things might depends where in the world they happen, and how long, how severe, how long they are, how hard it is to rebuild. So it's if you can, it's really a good time to have solar powered and backup generators, and it's always good to have some extra storage of cash on hand, candles, food, water, you know, not like going crazy, but it's important to have something like that. You know, the more I read about it, the more it seems likely that we will experience in some parts, who knows for how long, you know, and who knows where in the world, but there's more likelihood of power outages to come. The other thing with solar maximum and solar flares is to really understand some of these symptoms that can happen. You've probably already been feeling some, because we had one last weekend. We've had several over the years. You know, the more I've become aware of it, the more I noticed that during solar flares, I had much more inflammation, sometimes headaches, sometimes very achy, sometimes blurry eyes. So I'm going to read you the symptoms list just in case, you know, and some of these symptoms, of course, are not just because of solar flares. Like you might already have, you have to always check with your doctor if there's something. But if you have something and the solar flare, you know, that intensity of radiation coming at us really it's real. I mean, we're going to react to it. So it just like many things, it might sort of accentuate certain things that are already going on. Like, for example, if you already have heart issues, could the solar flares affect your heart? Probably. You know, if you already have migraines, could they affect them more? Probably. Do you know what I mean? Here it's basically saying when there's changes in the solar and geomagnetic environment, you can have different like shifts in your blood flow. So that affects anyone with blood pressure issues, cardiovascular issues. Sometimes, yeah, myocarditis related, but you know, It's not going to happen to everyone. But the other thing is the electromagnetic frequency, it slows down it affects your technology, it affects your appliances. So like we're feeling all of these waves all the time. We're just used to living with it now, with cell phone towers and internet waves coming through us all the time. And we look at how a lot of us have changed physically, emotionally, mentally, socially over these years that we've been on our devices. It's quite profound. Now, some people would feel relieved if these grid things go down. You might feel like your body can finally recover and become more grounded. But I think it would also bring an awful lot of, emotional and mental crisis, because people are addicted to these devices too, let alone the basic, getting from point A to point B and having heat on or air conditioning. There's also like, we all know people that would have a very hard time functioning if they didn't have their phones. But we can prepare ourselves for minimizing whatever, there's I'm getting a little tongue-tied because there's a lot to talk about, but if you look up certain gemstones, for example, tourmaline will help block electromagnetic frequencies. You might want to wear some or have some on you or have it beside your computer. You might want to invest in some of the products on a site like earthing.com. They're not paying me. I'm a user. You can buy products to help ground you, to release the charge from your body. So sometimes you can get a little mat, you put your feet on it, there's a wire, you have to stick it outside on a grounding, basically metal with the wire, and it grounds the charge. You can have that little mat and sit there with it on your feet to release some of this pain, inflammation, and electric charge or anxiety. All kinds of things come from it. You can even get a fitted sheet. You can also, another company that's awesome for EMF protection stuff is Altera, Aulterra. I'll put these below in the comments. They have, some of it's expensive, but I believe these things do work because I've used some of them. They have stickers that you can buy to put on the back of your devices that reduce the EMF dramatically. They have a plug-in to the wall that has a force field of about 80-foot radius. You can get bigger ones. That helps buffer. They have jewelry and pendants and things you can wear, fabrics you can put on, like covers for things to help, if we can minimize inflammation, we minimize a lot of human ailments. So we're just coming into a time with more flares and more social change that you might want to think about. How can I eat well, take care of myself, and reduce the charge in my body so that you are as comfortable, healthy, and prepared as you can be? And I'm not saying this to scare people. There are things we can do. And I'm not making any huge predictions either. Like, we might go through this time and, somebody's out of power for 2 weeks and then it's restored. Or there could be something really big. We don't know. We just don't know. All right. Let's take a look at the chart. But first, I also wanted to just share a couple more quick things here, very quickly. I'd like to invite you to join my email list. It's really the best way to keep in touch with people. And it's also what I've learned over the course of time. It's really sort of the most secure way to build relationships with people. Again, if anything changes and suddenly they want to start charging us all kinds of crazy prices to use Facebook or something, or Instagram, who knows what's going to come. I think for now, nobody can cancel you on email. Nobody can suddenly change all the rules, and people can't see what you're doing anymore. I've, and a lot of creators, I'm definitely not alone, are very frustrated with the algorithms and the playing around of it and all the monetizing, when you just want to be able to create something free and connect to people. So YouTube, I find, is still great for this. So I'm glad you're here. But emailing lists are also wonderful too. And then I can offer you more specific things, and I can put some of these references or interesting articles, related to these topics in the email, and then you'll have it more directly. So the easiest way is just to go to my site, riverrain.com, and the first thing that comes up will be a button that says join the mailing list. So, or go straight into the readings. So it's up to you. I would really appreciate that. And the last thing to get us in the mood before the chart is I would just love it if you would subscribe and if you would share this video. I don't know why. It means more to me that people share. Subscribing is nice, of course, but I'm really not, my goal has never been to be monetized. My goal is, like, where can I be the most authentic and reach people that actually are on the same wavelength, who want to learn. So without further ado, we're going to get to this new moon chart. All right, I'm just going to make it a bit larger. Okay, so Scorpio new moon, November 1st, 8:47 a.m. So it's still really like Halloween night, come on, close enough. So it's very interesting here. Again, I cast the chart for New York in the Eastern time zone. If you're in a different time zone, it's not going to be exactly the same interpretation. And it's, sorry, I'm hesitating because I'm like hoping this thing's still recording. One second. I just have to make sure that I'm not, oh yes, of course, silly me. Okay, then. I couldn't see it at the top, and I thought, oh no, I don't want to launch into this and then find out that it wasn't even recording. Okie doke. So yeah, I mean, if you're in a different time zone, then that shifts what I'm about to say. However, I'm coming from Montreal, and I cast the chart as if it's New York City, and we're gonna go with that. So the first thing we see here is there's the sun, there's the moon, 9 degrees, Scorpio. Now, it has some nice aspects, and it has one very difficult one. However, I have to tell you, now, already the sun in Scorpio is a very deep and a very emotional person. Somebody who's here to hold no more illusions about anything. They are involved in or shown or testing the limits of and the depths of everything. They want to know the truth, capital T. They will go down different darker paths. Sometimes I don't mean evil. I mean, they might stick with a relationship that is not healthy long past the shelf life because they're fascinated and want to learn. Or some of them might have a self-destructive side, but a lot of them are just really deeply interested in the psychology and understanding why and what's going on with everything and everyone. They might be more intensely involved in their work, more obsessed than anyone you know. They usually see right through people and understand very quickly where they're coming from. They'll know if they like you or trust you right away. So that's already with the sun in Scorpio. With the moon in Scorpio, you might have even somebody who's very opposite, who's Aries or Libra or something like that with the Scorpio moon. Now there, it goes even deeper. Your emotional nature, and often with the moon, it's talking about your mother relationship, the nurturing you had or didn't have, the atmosphere emotionally growing up. A moon in Scorpio person would have either had very deep spiritual, strong parents who might have been very close to them, maybe sometimes too much, or they might have had a lot of mystery and suppression, trauma, because Scorpio moon can be very secretive, very secretive. Now, they get a very strong instinct about everybody, but that doesn't always mean that you're able to trust people. You know, maybe everybody's sort of like, nobody can be trusted, so we'll just shades of gray. Let's see, you know, what this can bring and what that one can bring. If they do trust, they trust fully, and so if they get hurt, they're extremely hurt and feel betrayed, and that's where the whole revenge, you know, thing with Scorpio comes in. They're not vengeful by design. They are having a hard time with how far they trusted somebody and how deeply it hurts if it doesn't work out or if someone lies to them. So the sun-moon combination in Scorpio is extremely private, does not want to talk about anything superficial or like light banter or BS conversations. They won't even bother. Be so bored. And they can see right through it anyway. So you're not impressing them if you're trying to make them all jokey, haha. They see right through that crap. And, you know, when the sun and moon are in Scorpio, naturally they don't want to be seen. They don't really want to be in the spotlight. They don't want to be in public that much. They'd rather be much more behind the scenes, which can be, you know, like an introvert, but it can also be a bit, in some cases could be a bit like covert, and in really extreme cases could be like stalker, you know, studying people and finding ways to know things without them knowing. It's a very detective-y, probing type of combination to have that together. And in this particular chart, for this new moon, it falls in the 12th house, which is just the ultimate private, personal, deeply buried in the psyche, leave me alone place. And so I'm expecting this new moon for people to be, like I said before, lots of dreams. When there's anything in the 12th house, there can be a lot of dream life. I would really pay attention to your dreams right now. And if you're meditating, I would really pay attention to what insights come up, what intuition comes up in general. What feeling are you just getting, even if you don't know why? Because the sun, moon, Scorpio is extremely psychic, extremely. So this is going to be heightened. Also with the sun and moon in the 12th house, you might get someone who's really even quite religious, somebody who is a true like mystic. You could find somebody who is like truly a hermit under those combinations. I'm expecting a lot of people are just going to want to be alone and lay low and sleep and rest. And, you know, sometimes people just don't have much to say because, again, like they don't really want to be superficial, and there's nothing really that they feel like revealing. So it's a very solitary or one-on-one type of energy going on. And that's the overall feeling I'm expecting. So we have a Halloween night that has usually got parties, and I'm sure we're still going to see some fun, but I think we're going to see that the weekend that follows the Halloween night parties is going to be much more resting and recharging the batteries, and processing a lot of just everything that's been going on. So it's making really only one bad aspect here, which is a square to Pluto. Yeah, great. So Pluto squaring the sun and the moon is like sort of a recipe for conflicts, and very deep emotional conflicts. Also a lot of control and battles for power with that combo. Neither side is going to back down. One is just more sort of top-down authoritarian, and the other one is very psychological warfare and could be very sneaky. And the Pluto, when it squares the sun and the moon, can also just be a really exhausting energy in the air. Like how much time can you spend watching two opponents just go at it before you just feel tired? That's the overall feeling I'm getting is, so again, depending on you and what's going on in your life, you might sort of want to lay low from that stuff. If you see that there's any, like, this is a recipe for drama. So you don't want that. You've got to sort of lay low, pick your battles. Now, the nice aspect that we have going on is it's making a nice blue line trine to Saturn in Pisces. So Saturn is helping this out. How? Well, it's sort of, excuse me, yawning. It sort of gives an outlet for all of that emotional energy. Saturn's in the 4th, and it's in Pisces, and it's about, accepting that we're all in this together. And so again, that lonely sort of sun moon in the 12th house that wants to be all solitary, it can sort of find some solace in the 4th house, which would be, your family, your immediate close friends. So the fact that it's trine gives me a feeling like of reaching out to maybe one or two people that are your confidants if you're having a rough go right now. And so it's not completely an isolated aspect, which is nice to see. So the more harmonious things going on is this grand water trine we see here. So starting over here with Neptune in Pisces. Now we have a trine up to Mars in Cancer, and over here to Mercury in Scorpio. So we've got a grand water trine. And a water trine means that your emotions and your intuition are in flow. You don't have to try. It's not hard to be talking deeply. It's not hard to express how you feel. It's, if you need, shoulder to cry on, you can probably do that. It's also wonderful, the flow for intuition, for creativity. Think about like a beautiful river when it's flowing and clean and clear, and you just float things along it. There we go. It's in the flow of life. You don't stop and analyze. You don't have you don't have anything blocking this energy. So it can flow just very much without trying. So it could be a really great time, again, for, again, your inner life, your dream life, your intuitions, your insight, your meditation practice, your, your deepening your emotional connections to others and to yourself. It's excellent time for that. So what we have otherwise, that is, in the bigger picture, we saw this last chart as well, it's going to last for a while, is Uranus trining Pluto. It's going to stick around like this for a long time. And even though both of them are strong and represent a lot of change and rebirth and upheaval, they are working together. They are flowing. At least they're not, if they were squaring or opposing, then it would be really tough times, because every change would be like a war zone. But this is like Pluto trine Uranus is like, they're both going, hey, everything has to change, but at least they're going in the same direction together. It sort of complements in a weird way, even though they both work a bit differently. So for example, Uranus could represent like a protest movement or an upheaval of a system. And then Pluto in Capricorn would probably find a way to use that to their advantage or redesign it to fit where the movement's going. Whereas if they were opposing each other or squaring each other, there could be meltdowns and, the fall of a leader, or, in a much more dramatic way. This feels like, okay, it's going to wake up and shake up, but they keep up with each other. Well, more and more and more, waking, shaking, but they keep up with each other. So we've had that influence for a while, and it's still going to continue because they're outer planets. The other thing that I need to specify, because it's a long-term influence coming up, is Pluto opposite Mars. So as you see, 2904, 2945. So there's still 29 degrees. They're opposing right now at the new moon. But the official Mars-Pluto square starts November 3rd. And it goes all the way to April 2025. So it's 6 months. So we really need to understand what Mars-Pluto opposition is going to do. And this is not easy. This is much more destructive. A lot of aggression and control, a lot of reactivity and suppression. At the same time, not everything is all bad. So Mars opposite Pluto will also dismantle things or crumble things that aren't working. And some people out there would be like, yeah, good, we need that, and then they'll assign who that's applied to. But it's really applied to everybody. It's not applied to a certain country or a certain political party or person. It's in the air for everyone. And I want to just say, like, it's a hard time to be going through things for everyone. I don't care who you are. People that say they've got everything's perfect right now, I'm like, well, okay. For most people who are authentic, it isn't easy. The level of, sort of dissolving of things is really sometimes so fast and hard to comprehend. Things you counted on, things you thought were true, people you thought were there, career paths you thought for sure you wanted, jobs that you counted on, even housing crisis, things we never thought we'd have to deal with. Lots of things we thought we wouldn't have to deal with are sort of part of the Mars-Pluto square opposition to me. And Pluto trine Uranus, they're all like, there's a lot of things not working. We all know that. On many levels. And I'm not just talking about government policies. I'm talking about like on a deep spiritual, psychological, holistic level. Everybody's just like, what the hell's going on? Like comprehending how polarized everything is, how weird everything feels. You know, whether it was done on purpose or not, that's just points to the psychological layer that needs to be worked out, because there's too much polarity going on, and we've been seeing that rise and rise and rise. It's not going to stop until we have unraveled or dissolved something that this is related to, that goes much deeper than the surface of who wins an election. So we're in a time of huge, huge change, huge upending how our, life and our values and what, our priorities, everything is shifting. And I think, the more adaptable we are, the more honest you can be with yourself if something is, being pressured to change. It takes a lot of guts to be honest with yourself like that, but under a Sun, Moon, Scorpio 12th house, my goodness, you might be able to do it. You might be able to really swallow that pill and say, this is how that is, and it's not going to change, and it's time for me to just be done. And then you mourn, and then you have a rebirth. That's how Pluto transits work. So Mars could challenge us on lots of things. It could just threaten in some ways. But if we're really honest, some of the things that we're holding in place so tightly, do they really work that well anyway? Or are we just guarding them with our lives for no reason? Not no reason, but just out of fear, out of trauma, out of just repeating the past because, and we need to move into a different world. Of course, there's enormous resistance to that. And we want to shape how that's going to look. So the grand water trine of Mercury, Scorpio, Mars, Cancer, Neptune, Pisces, that's also great for visionary work. So if you find yourself super afraid and worried about the world right now, or yourself or people around you, I'd say the best thing you can do on some level is to envision good outcomes for yourself and others and the world, even if we can't quite see them yet. Just hold that energy of positive solutions, even if we don't know what they will be. That is faith. If I'm worried about someone and I know they're going through a lot and I know they're not anywhere near having solved it, I can still bring them more hope if I have a strong vision of them well and healthy and thriving again, right? So we can do the same thing with our countries, trying to hold hope and space, see peace restored, even if we don't know who and how just yet. And if it doesn't happen for another year or two, we don't know. But we're crossing a threshold, and all these polarities, I don't think we can live in this level of polarity for much longer without something happening. It needs to be resolved on it. And what resolves it takes everybody a lot deeper than the level that we're speaking at now, where it's easy to just ping pong and counteract, whatever. It's deeper than that. And so we can go into those depths, and maybe during a time like this, when the veil is thin, perhaps you can feel, sense, envision, see a little glimpse of a better world. Not a utopia, but a better on some levels, and try to tap into that. So what else is working well here? Uranus is also making a nice sextile up to that Mars. And Pluto is making a nice sextile to that Mercury. So as you see, we've got like a perfect little rectangle here, which is interesting. It's hard to look at, you know, these aspects are like really looking sort of convoluted, aren't they? But this blue rectangle you can see gives me a feeling again of like structure and almost like a feeling of sentinels, you know, that there are placements in society or people within your groups, your communities, your families who are like the guideposts, who are protecting certain borders and boundaries, even if they're not visible to us. They can be doing it on many levels or on different parts of life, different planes, but they hold space. There's something feels very solid about that one, despite the other conflictual ones. So one last thing about Mars Pluto is just because it's lasting up until April, we'll be talking about it a lot. We'll need to really take a look at how we manage conflict during the next few months. And so just really put some energy into thinking about how can you resolve, because we don't want to run away from it all the time, and we can't. So learning some conflict management skills through a great book or online would be amazing. Now we also have Neptune and Saturn squaring off with Jupiter. Jupiter and Gemini still here in the 7th house. So, you know, there's still a lot of frenetic, fun, socializing, flirting, meeting people going on. Thank goodness, something lighthearted and fun. It's opposite Venus though. So, Jupiter's starting, in my opinion, just like for now, its energy is a little dampened because it doesn't really have much support. It's got 3 oppositions and opposition or squares. So for the people that are out there trying to be like, oh, hey, you know, and bantering and meeting people and keeping it light and starting many things at once, that's not in the air right now. It's like, you know, people want to be a little more, again, like even Venus and Sag is like, yeah, I'll do it myself, thanks. I'm gonna go on a road trip alone. I'm fine. I'm gonna take this adventure. I'm gonna take these risks. You know, I'm clear what I think. So they don't feel like indulging sort of that curious mind, that curious, diverse mind of Gemini. I think so. And Scorpio moon definitely does not. It's like, oh no, I don't have the time to like talk about the latest, you know, upbeat subject that you feel like Gemini. No, not right now. They want to be in a very different headspace. They want to be within themselves deeply, and you can't do that while you're dabbling and dibbling, you know, and socializing. So for the Geminis, you might feel a bit more of a damper on you because of that. And yeah, Saturn, and we've talked about that for a while now, with Saturn squaring Jupiter for a while, just like the damper, the wet blanket on the social butterfly. And Neptune squaring as well. You know, you don't want to have too many illusions about the projects or the people that you're you know, dividing yourself between. You don't want to be overdoing it, even if you are in that cycle. There's too much potential with those oppositions for that curiosity to like get itself in trouble, especially since it's in the 7th house, which means it could be on the romantic level of like either dating too many people, dating the wrong people, or having affairs, because it's the 7th. Yeah, Venus is also making the same squares to Saturn and Neptune. So there's a lot of challenge with this Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune aspect. it sort of feels like it's hard to get what you want right now. There's delays, there's a lot of frustration, and not a lot of clarity as to what to do about it yet. Before we move on to the tarot part of it, I just want to say, though, that with these major aspects coming, and with the elections in the US coming on the 5th, and Pluto moving forward, we are going to see things go in a new momentum. We're not going to feel the same stuck, stagnant, waiting, limbo mode that this Pluto retrograde and this waiting build up from like late summer up to now. By the 19th of November, Pluto shifts. The election will happen. Mars-Pluto square is going to take hold right the day before or 2 days before the election. It's not going to be dull times, you know, so the frustration or the waiting in the air that you've got right now, or the I wish I had clarity, or I don't know what to do about X, Y, or Z, I think I still have been feeling for a while. I didn't know whether it would be this year or 2025, but I still have this feeling like things will be announced or changed, and we are going to be back into a mode where people are actively rearranging their choices based on what those decisions are. We'll see a lot of people moving, a lot of people shifting job, a lot of people realigning their lives on every level. So if you're feeling just like, oh, get me out of here, kind of stagnant right now in any way, I don't think it's going to stay that way, folks. So let's take a look at the tarot. Boy, I look like a red. Need to get some. Is it any better? Yeah. Now it's like Blair Witch Project or something. Anyway. I started this in the daylight and the sun just went down so quick, and now, oh well. Yeah, it's even more witchy for your readings. All right, let's take a look at just the general. If there's anything else in the cards that will help us know what we need to know for this new moon. All right, so the first we have is a Saturn Pisces card, 8 of Cups, which is sort of card of wanting to give up. It says indolence. This is a card that means, you know, you feel like all your cups have run dry, even though you can see that no, not all of them have. There's still some water being poured from a couple of them. So I think a lot of people are feeling a bit depleted, a bit depressed, a bit worried. And again, like this feeling of waiting or stuckness. And some might feel, you know, just like I said, a bit depressed or not having a lot of hope about something. It's easy right now with how much we're bombarded with. But it's really important. The lesson of Saturn and Pisces is recognizing that we are all together in this. And no matter what happens in one part of the world, there is spin-off and like rings in the water. It affects everything, even if we don't know about it and see it directly, but it does. And sometimes we have to hit these times of a low to humble ourselves enough to see that. It is humbling. You know, if you make one decision, it affects you in good or bad ways. It sets things in motion for the people closest to you in good or bad ways. So imagine, you know, the larger decisions that are made on our behalf by governments. One decision sets things in motion within our own country, but also within other countries and how they respond to us. So it's anytime you feel alone or stuck or depressed, you should remind yourself, even just take one product that you have sitting in front of you or one food item and tell yourself how many people and how many places are involved in bringing that one item to your door. The mindfulness of understanding how many people's lives are interconnected just because you have this banana in front of you. Somebody owns the banana farm. There's all kinds of workers on the banana farm. Then there's the people that are going to collect them and ship them to you. Then there's the people that deal with the grocery stores and the marketing and the people in your local community that take them off the truck and the other people in the store who display them, and then the cashier who sold it to you. And there you have this banana, and you're connected to a different country, and all the hands that went into providing that banana and paying for that banana to be in your cereal or whatever you put it on. You know, like when you really think about it, we have to recognize that we're all interconnected and our decisions have repercussions. And in that you can feel a little less alone, or a little less, well, why bother? What's the point? Like people that want to sit out an election. Well, that's just, I'm sorry, that's just dumb. I'll just call it what it is. It's just dumb to sit out on an election that could dictate whether there's a continuance of the world as we know it, or it shifts radically. Abstaining is still a choice, but if people think that by not doing it that they're making a good difference, I don't agree with that. I'm Canadian, but I would gladly vote if I could in the US election. I would do it. It's our the more you believe and know that you are connected to everyone, the more you feel, I believe, the more you're aware that you do have a civic duty in your own village, in your own city, to other people that you know that love you, and also to the greater good. So, Saturn and Pisces card, very profound. Now, our next card is the Prince of Swords, which, you know, we've talked about before. When he comes up, he's looking pretty crushed there, pretty, you know, he's like right on his chariot, not very comfortable. And he's got a big sword and three people that look like they're pulling him, that it's just way too big for them to pull him. They look like they're on their knees and on the floor and they can't do it anymore. And he looks like he doesn't even understand what the heck's going on. He could just, so the Prince of Swords is usually a really clever person. Like mentally, they might run circles around you and understand things, but they really don't have much emotional intelligence at all. They're not really emotionally mature. So everything to them is like, you know, transactional or logic in their mind. And they don't see a bigger picture. And you can see in the card that there's a huge struggle that's set up because of that. And so there's other people around them that are suffering. So, you know, we can certainly apply that. You can think of who you want to apply that to in the public stage of life, but you might have someone around you who's like this. It's going to be somebody who's more scattered and can't make commitments, can't follow through. And, you know, they might have legitimate mental health problems, why, or legitimate things going on in their lives, why they're not able to. But it's just to say, like, there's someone around, you know, you, us, that we really can't rely on, who's quite destructive, if they're allowed to be. And finally, we have the Six of Discs, which says success. And for me, this is also like a card of healing. If you can see, the lighting's not great. There is a cross and a rose in the center of this circle. And you see, like, there's like a glowing light around this, beautiful rows across, and 6 planets. And then you see all these concentric circles, and then these pointed star kind of that comes out and off the page. It looks extremely protected, doesn't it? And that's why I consider it an aspect of healing, because there's a beautiful symbol for, you know, going inward. And the moon in Taurus is this card, is signifying the signifying planets aspect. Moon in Taurus is like secure, wants security, safety, stability, comfort. And so there's a ring of light around that, and there are protections and people in place to make that happen. So it's very much like, you know, out of the 8 of Cups, which is like, why bother? I should just give up. What's the point? And the Prince of Swords, who's running amok, that you can't really count on anymore. Now you need to pull back into that 6 of Discs and find your safe space, protect your own inner circle, understand who your circle is around you that you can rely on, where you do feel safe, seen, heard, protected. Put your protections and your layers and your boundaries around it, and give yourself that cocoon to heal whatever this is about, you know. The Prince of Swords could be someone, you know, in the public or in your city or an organization you belong to, but it could also be, you know, talking about one specific friend that is like this, or, you know, someone that, like I don't know, a day to break up, a spouse where you're sort of like, not who I thought it was, not what I thought it was, what I'd signed up for. And so you need that healing circle of protection around you to start really doing that inner work. So, you know, because this time feels just so groundbreaking, I'm gonna ponder what we can ask for each sign. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, what I'm hearing is to ask yourself, what would be the most significant action you could take right now to change things in your life? What action or decision would bring the most change to your life right now? All right, so Aries. Okay, well, you've got the Lust card or the Strength card. Very fiery card, very passionate. You can see it's basically, this is the Whore of Babylon riding the lion, and she's just got her hand up in the air, just drawing from the essence of all time, you know, to gain the true potency of the universe. And obviously we see she's naked on the lion, like riding through the town. She's got no shame. And, you know, why should she? So I don't know whether any issues of shame have come up for you, Aries. Like, do you hide yourself, hold yourself back from expressing your creative gifts or your passions or your sexuality? This doesn't mean you have to do this with everyone you know and see. You do it within your intimate partnerships or your closer friends, but you need somewhere that you can express yourself, probably at a more what's the word? Like, it's about true passion. So it's not like, oh, maybe if I do that, and then you go do that and you try to do it big and you try to get attention and it didn't work. Nah, that's not it. It's not it. She's not doing that for other people. She doesn't care. She doesn't care what other people think. She is so in touch with her own power, her own feminine power, that she is just like, this will be mine. This is who I am. This is what I want. That's mine. And she just claims it. She doesn't need anybody's approval. So if you've been going through anything where you're like, I don't know, feeling shame or shy, or like, I'm not good enough to do this, or if the efforts that you're putting out there aren't quite working, it's because they need to be more about your own authenticity, regardless of what anyone says. You have to be able to do it, even if everyone hates it. You have to be good. I don't care. And the confidence of not running around caring what other people think or asking what other people think. Yeah, that's a pretty huge change. All right, Taurus. What decision would bring the most significant change to your life right now? Well, random wants to jump out here. So we trust that. All right. So you've got the moon card. So the moon card is a tough one because it's all of that. It's sort of like the moon Scorpio in itself. It's all the hidden stuff. It's all the taboo stuff, the stuff we'd rather not look at, the unconscious drives, the the dreams at night, the weird visions that you know, as a Taurus, you're like, that was weird. I don't want to know that. I don't want to see that, you know. And there and voila, but there it is. So it looks like for you, one of the biggest things you could decide to do would be to like make some room for this side of you in yourself or in other people. Meaning like, step out a little bit of your emotional comfort zone so that you can allow yourself to be or have weird dreams or thoughts, or listen to other people's views on things, or deeper experiences, or because the moon is all these shadowy hidden things too. Like, you're very practical. You don't want to feel like there's subversive layers to things at all. You'd rather not know. But it's asking you to like open the veil a bit and see like, yeah, there could be more going on under the surface than you realized. And yeah, of course, it's no fun sometimes, but it's also really liberating and enlightening when you do. If you suddenly understand something in a different framework than you've ever seen, it's a bit mind-blowing, but it's good. Now maybe you just suddenly go, oh, now this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that makes sense. Wow. And that kind of clarity, just it's like a high, and it relieves a lot of stress from your psyche. Then going, oh, well, that's strange. Oh, no, don't want to think about that. Oh, hope not. And just like categorically shoving anything aside that doesn't match with what makes you feel secure. So that's another very profound message right now. Oh, I think it's going to roll like this for every sign tonight. All right, Geminis. What decision would be very meaningful and make change in your life right now? All right, and you have the Eon, which is all about making big decisions. So the Aeon, or the Judgment card, is a time when nobody is going to give you a sign Even if you ask 20 people's opinion, you won't have your answer. You're just going to have to bite the bullet and declare something that you believe to be true, or that you want us to know about you, or your plans. So there is, like, depends what stage of this you're in. But ultimately, the decision card, what decision would make the biggest change? Well, it's basically to make one, on your own that will feel on some level like coming out of the closet. Because it's usually something you've been scared to say or scared to decide. Usually something where you feel like there will be, fallout or consequences, as there is for anyone. Because originally this card, like the judgment card in the Rider-Waite, it's more in the Christian sense of like standing before God and being judged. Here I am, here's my life, these are all the things I did and didn't do, judge me. Am I good or bad? Right? But in this case, Crowley does not stand before God and be judged externally. This is you saying, coming out of the closet. Like if I suddenly said, my strongest spiritual leanings would be pagan and Buddhist. That's a statement, something that took me a long time. And even within that, people could still argue me down. Like, well, what do you mean and why and where? What are your actual beliefs that you're saying this mixture? Yeah, and I could even add Taoism in there, because I haven't studied all three to the degree that a monk has done it. I haven't devoted my whole life to one path, but I'm still declaring something that gets me closer, right? And then you get all these questions. That's the eon, the being judged, the fear of being judged. It's when you come out and make an assertion, I am this, and someone goes, why? Or prove it. Or when did that happen? Or why didn't you tell us before? You're at that kind of moment with something. And it doesn't have to be your beliefs. You might be like, I'm going to finally go on that dream trip I wanted. And I'm just doing it. I'll do it alone if I have to, but I'm going. It can be a fun declaration too, but it is something where you've been waiting and hesitating, and now it's time. Very interesting. All right, Cancers. I'm gonna burn some more sage here, cleanse the cards a bit. Cancer, just like Aries, Libra, Capricorn. This long Pluto chapter is ending on the 19th of November. Hallelujah, hallelujah. And for Cancer, 16 years of relationship roller coasters and evaluations has been exhausting, hasn't it? Isn't it nice to think that now it will be easier to discern who is your tribe? You'll be closer than you've ever been to some people, and others you'll realize it's done. It's done. Let's look at your card. What decision would be most instrumental for you right now to change your life? Ah! Ha! The Seven of Swords, futility, walk away. For a Cancer, that's like so hard, right? This is also often a card of moving. Walking away, moving on. Is it time to change apartment? Is it time to change city, province, country, state? It's a time to just say, I've done everything I can here with an organization. You're like, I've done all I can. There's nothing more I can do. For some of you, is it like retiring early? Bye-bye. Some of you, it's going to be, like I said, for Cancers, it's been all about relationships. So some of you, it's like, you know what? People that don't listen to me, I'm walking. People that I don't feel have empathy for me, why am I doing this? I'm walking away. You know, it's like empowering, even though it's hard for Cancer. But I think you can safely say, after Pluto has been in your 7th house, asking you to go over and back and over and back, over and back over the coals of every relationship dynamic, I think you can safely say what's working and what isn't by now, and what you need and what you don't need. It's time to be that confident and say, no, you're an acquaintance, love ya, but no, my inner circle, I must have certain things, must be met, must be mutual, must be healthy. So I think this is an exciting time for Cancer, just like it is for Aries. Look at the Aries card that came up. Like, passion. Express your truer passion. Don't pander, don't please, don't feel ashamed. You know, these are amazing messages. All right. So good times, good things ahead for you, Cancer. Feel much more light and liberated soon. All righty, Leos. Two of Swords. Peace. Huh. Well, this means to me a time of making amends. Making amends and forgiveness, or laying down swords with somebody. So you have to go through and think about, you know, where has there been a long-standing conflict or disagreement? Where is there, you know, in the worst case scenario, maybe estrangement? Where has there been, you know, a distance from people that you still love, but you're too proud to say sorry or go back and say hello? Or, and you might say, well, so are they. Well, so the peace is like, you're going to have to get really clear in your heart, like who's worth, what situations and which people are worth making amends. And it's going to require courage. That's the feeling I get. To sort of admit, you know, maybe your part in something, so that the greater good can be achieved and make amends. You know, like if you're part of could be in a family, could be, like I said, at work or in a group, but something where your role or your influence in that family, that group, that team is making a big difference. And if you have a disagreement, discord, long-standing friction, and have been stubborn about it, even if they have too, you know, the peace card is asking you to sort of lay down the battle, so that everybody can feel more peace moving forward. Yes, because Aquarius, you now have, oh, pardon me, just like Cancers, I just told you, Cancer had 16 years of relationship challenges. This is what your next 20 years is about. There will be an enormous focus on your close relationships, your marriages, your partnerships, your business partnerships, and your open enemies, and figuring out who's who. So it's interesting, it starts with the card of peace and with amends. You can kickstart this period in a very good way if you do make some amends, but not to the wrong people. Not only if there's respect. Otherwise, it's just being walked on. It's not really true peace. All right, Virgo. What decision can you make that would make the most difference? Well, star, very nice. Virgo, you need to go for your dreams more again. Oh man, that's such a strong, nice message. Wow, that's so nice. Virgo, have you been like stifling yourself with your dreams? Have you been like, oh, it's too hard, it's not going to work. Yeah, whatever. Nobody's don't have the space, the time, the means, whatever have you. Like, yeah, you need to like find your inspiration and your dreams again. And you need to be willing to let yourself be seen and shine like you've never before. Yeah, you might be nervous, but I think part of you's got to be ready too. You've got to be ready. I mean, there's only so long you can sort of keep things contained and small. So I really think it's time for you to open up your horizons. I don't care if you do it on the side, if you do it with an alias, I don't care if you wear a costume, just do it. It's time for you to like open and be seen and shine. I love that. Yeah, first step is just like, what is your dream again? You got to remember and feel what your dream is. We don't talk about that so much anymore in society. We're all polarized and arguing. Yeah, the dreams are still there. You have to have your dreams. Otherwise, you just feel like like life is just a flat, dull place to be. So what is your dream, Virgo? All right, Libras. We're going to smudge again because, Libras, you've also had 16 years of hell going through Pluto in your fourth house, family, home, your roots, your ancestors, even your like the foundation or the plumbing of your house, literally. So this is a big change. Finally, it's going to move into the fifth house and it's going to be so much better there. The next 20 years for you are all about expanding your creative life, being more playful, meeting people, dating, collaborations. And your card is pleasure. Ha ha ha. Lovely. 6 of Cups. Yeah. So you definitely need to be focused more on your own pleasure. Pluto in the fourth house is really heavy. You've probably just felt crushed by it as a Libra, by people not understanding, not willing to get along, secrets coming out. Oh my God, just like nightmare for Libras. And you've probably gone through many incarnations in these 16 years of like trying to mediate, trying to choose one side or another, trying to stay out of it, and now like you really need to just put your own self-development back on the table here, and you need to have some fun and you need to have some pleasure and comfort and joy with people around you, even if it's different people than you thought. It doesn't have to be your family of origin, even though that's a roots and family kind of placement you had, but maybe you've found a new family, a chosen family. So that's really nice, really nice. Scorpios, what decision would be the most instrumental for you right now? Princess of Swords, okay. Well, okay, if this is someone you know, it would be somebody who is struggling really hard to do what they want in their own way, being hyper independent, but in a ridiculous kind of way. Like it's somebody that would say they could do it themselves, even if they've got nothing to go on and no help. Like the level of hyper independence is over the top. It's not practical and everyone can see it. So they end up struggling and failing a lot. They end up in a lot of battles with people. Like in real life, this is somebody who's extremely on the defense. You know, you want to, somebody drops something and you say, oh, can I help you pick it up? And she's like, I'm fine. What are you touching me for? You know, like really combative and defensive because they've been hurt. You know, so they don't want to trust nobody. Nobody. And because of that, this person has a lot of trauma and they're very combative and they have a lot of, they're involved in a lot of conflicts and drama because of it. And so if you have someone like that in your life, you need to make a decision how you're gonna, you know, what boundaries or what role you're gonna play in that person's life. It's really up to you. You might step away, you might jump in and be the person who does the intervention, but you need to make a decision because this person is like usually very difficult to, it's not just going to go away and relax, will resolve itself. So you need to make a decision. Now, if this is potentially you, then you need to recognize that you are the one who has become, you know, so scared to trust anyone that you're ready to snap at everybody and that you don't want to ask for any help. This is a hard thing to hear, but you have to admit, like, I don't trust anybody. That's sad. That's on you, you know, because as hard as it is to trust, what if you're the one who's gone through that level of distress and trauma, there's always people that you can trust. There's not perfect people, but there are people you can trust. So it's like the message is, if it's you, you know, is to like try to relax these defensiveness and allow people in to help and not like be ready to attack and find everything wrong. And so it depends really whether you identify with it for yourself or this sounds like someone else around you. But obviously, whoever it is, or whatever this is, it's been taking up a lot of energy in your life. Now, Sagittarius, let's see for you. So Sag, what decision would be the most instrumental for your life right now? Okay, so that's nice. You've got the 8 of Discs, which says prudence, which is also a Virgo card, so it's not your normal nature. You might find this advice a bit boring, but you need to like go slow and steady. Slow and steady, build things up from the ground up, one seed at a time. Make sure that whatever you do, well, I'm going to use the seed metaphor again. This beautiful plant or tree needs certain conditions to grow that strongly and evenly, right? Needs good soil, needs the right amount of food, water, sunlight, nothing toxic in its environment, and then it can grow super healthy and strong. So for you, the message is also like, you might need to really rethink either some of the projects you're doing or where you live. Are you planting the right seeds with the right people in the right way? You have to realize, you know, even though some stuff seems fun and like you could just jump in and try, the older we get, the harder it is to just sort of try and then exit. Most of the time we get in and we get rooted somewhere. And if you're rooting in the place that isn't right for you or that doesn't have the support, you're not going to grow like you could, right? So yeah, I love that metaphor. I think it's time for you to really be honest with yourself, like with things that you're committed to. Are they really well planted? You know, or would it be worth it for you to pull out and find better things and better ways to plant, better environments? And if you're not feeling good in the environment you live in, it would also be really important that you rearrange it, clean it, renovate it, or get out of it, so that you do feel good there, because you will adapt to whatever environment you're in. Interesting message. Huh? All right, Capricorns. So finally, Cap, few more days and this Pluto insanity is done. You've come through the biggest, hardest time you'll ever go through in your life. It's almost over, a few more days. So congratulations, because it is not. And I'm sure you have reinvented yourself. And so many things have happened. You probably can't even count them all right now. All you know is you're a different person. So let's see, what decision could you make at this point that would really change your life? You know, Ace of Discs, that's nice. So the Ace of Discs is like the birth of a new friendship, a new project, a new job, a new investment. It's the Ace. It's just the first one, but it is discs. So it's the earthy, usually meaning, you know, money or very concrete, down to earth projects or people. So you've got some new, probably all of the above, honestly. There's probably new friends to come that are more aligned. And I'm feeling like new work possibilities that are also better aligned and better paid, because you have gone through the ringer and you have the self-esteem now to ask for that. And there's more confidence in you. So there's more people reflecting that confidence back by backing you up, supporting you, hiring you, seeing your worth. Yeah, that's just such a nice feeling, such a clean slate on a high note, you know? And if you're Capricorn and you're still struggling on any way, then you need to raise the bar, not lower. Raise the bar in terms of what you ask of yourself, in terms of what you'll tolerate and what you'll accept from others. You raise it. Yeah. All right. Aquarius, your adventure is about to begin. What decision would help you the most right now? Wow, I'm pulling like 3 court cards in a row, and I'm feeling like all of these are a no. You got a lot of people on your mind. Okay. This one feels like right. So the Sun card. This is talking about a stage in your life where you've been there, done that, seen that. Nothing shocks you or surprises you anymore. So when you get to the Sun card and you see them dancing joyfully around the sun, this doesn't mean childlike innocence. This doesn't mean naive. But it does mean someone who's choosing to see good and choosing to still have wonder despite the wisdom. Think of someone like the Dalai Lama, who's been through hell and back, exiled from his family, even though he's a Cancer. It's heartbreaking for him to lose his home. And he's put in all that work teaching and meditating, and yet he giggles like a kid. Because after all of the wisdom and the tests, he's chosen to be a child, to still have a childlike wonder, to still have joy, to still allow himself to have some innocence and wonder, versus being in a tired or cynical place. So if you can recognize yourself in that, it sounds really simple, but it's not. it can be a very, courageous and difficult change to make, to be always like a bit, keeping out of things, veneer. Oh yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, I know what that is. Whatever. And you never get involved in anything, and you don't really bond with people or trust people. You got your little, whatever, I got my stuff in it, but you're not fully living in the happiest way you could, which is like, for Aquarius, it's like accepting the diversity that is humans, that is like multiple experiences. So you need to have a little bit more like openness and playfulness to have that joy, instead of, being behind the screen and knowing, but still like not engaging as much as you could and having as much fun as you could. So I think the Pluto and Aquarius period that's coming up will shift your identity in those types of ways. You'll be more active and engaged with people in the world than you've ever been. Wow. Pisces, finally. What is your message? What is the biggest decision you could make that would change your life right now? You get the Hangman. Well, this is a very Piscean type of card, even though it doesn't have Pisces on there, but you already know that you sacrifice yourself too much, right? Pisces can easily fall into this role of feeling like they have to sacrifice for others and feeling like a martyr, feeling bitter. And the biggest thing you can do is get off that cross. And you're going to start to find a way to move in the world where you can still care about people without going into this, oh, I will abandon myself for them, or oh, I have to save them, or oh, but this poor person, oh, and feeling sorry for, and therefore doing things that go against how you truly feel, because you have so much compassion for people that you do the right thing, even if it's going against everything in your body and your head screaming at you, because you just don't. Sometimes, it is the right thing to whatever, do some sort of action for somebody. But if your guts are screaming at you, no, then you have to honor yourself too and stop sacrificing yourself for your own health. And it's only an issue if you're feeling stuck or bitter, resentful, or roped into things that you don't want to do. I really believe, like, it might take some creativity, but I really believe there's ways to offer help that you can enjoy. And then there's definitely ways to feel like you're in servitude all the time. And a lot of how to negotiate it, I find, is like you have to just get a better and better sense of, what is your own limit. Maybe someone asks you for 10 yards and you're like, I'm comfortable in this case with this person's request. I'm only comfortable with 2 yards. So you still help them by saying, I can give you 2, but I can't give you 10 right now. So you're not being a bad person, but you're going to give what you can honestly give, so that you don't build any kind of resentment or martyr complex. And that would be the biggest thing that you could do, is just adjust the way you say yes and what you say yes to. There's no black or white. It's really like, it's like what I just did. It's like someone says, oh, could I borrow this? And you're like, I'm getting a no right now. I have to say, no, I'm sorry, can't for now, I need it, or someone else asked me for it. Another time somebody asks for something even bigger. Could you, I don't know, look after my dog for 3 days, and it might be in a different village, different city, and you're like, I don't know why, but that feels like, yeah, that's fine with me. I'm going to enjoy doing that. And then you don't have the resentment factor by being honest with yourself about what you want to do to help, because you're always going to have a big heart and help. So this concludes this broadcast. We talked about a lot. So if you want to get in touch for a reading at any point, let me know. And please, as I mentioned before, if you want to join my mailing list, like, subscribe, share, and join my mailing list would make me a very happy Catherine. All right. Have a wonderful new moon, and we'll see you in the middle of November, when I'm sure the world is going to feel very different. All right. Take care, everybody.